All right, let's talk USC Trojans. Of course, we are getting closer and closer to real football. We're in the thick of spring, and we're starting to see what are the new Trojans going to look like? What is this team going to look like? Specifically, the freshmen, and really in the weeds here, the quarterback position, most important position on the field, obviously. And we've got an exciting update involving the quarterback position, especially one freshman in particular. We'll get to that in 1 second. But first, I'm Nick. That's Andrew, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, the USC Trojans obviously made a lot of news when they brought in Hassan Longstreet to be potentially the future quarterback of this USC Trojans program. And we got an exciting update on that front and what it means for the quarterback position, the QB battle there as a whole. Let's pull up this report courtesy of SI.com. This is an interview with Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley said, Hassan is further ahead than most freshmen at this time, said USC coach Lincoln Riley. The advantage of being able to come in for a little of the bowl practice, be in some of those meetings to set up to where this wasn't his first college practice, that was pretty cool. And he did a great job of taking advantage of being a local guy, and he was here as much as the rules allowed. He came to a lot of meetings, came to a lot of practices on his own time, on his own dime, and it's paid off because he's way further ahead than most guys would be at this age. It's obviously very important. His ability to communicate and manage the group right now as a young guy is pretty impressive. Now, does Jayden come in a step ahead of experience and all that other guys in the room? Of course he does. I'm talking about Mava. Obviously, Mava does have more experience, but the best guy is going to play, and that's to me number one, and that should always be the case. And we should always have a really good quarterback room here at USC. So you want that competition. So again, full-blooded competition here, and you want guys that are not afraid of it. All right, so we know we have a QB competition, kind of assume that anyway, but it is full-throated, 100% on the go here, and Hassan Longstreet seems to be off to a really great start to maybe taking control of that competition. Mize, I'm curious what your thoughts are on all of this, but first, UFC fans in the comment section below, who do you want to be the day one starting quarterback when the season kicks off in just a few short months now for the USC Trojans? Is it Mava? Is it Longstreet? Or maybe you got a dark horse no one is talking about, right? Let us know who you want the USC quarterback to be and maybe why. Give us some color there. Put it in the comment section below. But Miles, what are your thoughts on this latest update out of Los Angeles?
Yeah, Nick, I think it's really interesting what Lincoln Riley said here. I think, first of all, the fact that he said it not once but twice, he alluded to how far ahead Longstreet is than other freshman quarterbacks, mainly probably talking about, other freshman quarterbacks around the country, but I think notably other freshman quarterbacks he has dealt with. I think that's the key here is Longstreet's come in, he's really taken advantage of it. You notice how they really key in there. It's all been in the rules. He paid his own way. He made sure he wasn't there. I thought it was pretty funny, but nonetheless, Longstreet has done a really good job of getting ready, and it shows me he is wanting this job. He is doing everything he can, put himself in the situation to be the starter day one. And I really like that of a young kid coming in here and just saying, hey, I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'm going to be here the extra hours, no matter if I got to pay, figure out how to get there on myself, anything I can do to get an edge, get a step ahead. And I think Lincoln Riley has noticed that. He's seen Longstreet doing really well, and he's thinking to himself, hey, this kid, I think that this could be our starter day one. And that's what I get from his comments is he's noticing now. He's like, Longstreet has really been impressive. He's way further ahead than we thought he was going to be. Maybe we thought Mava starts out the season, we get into the mid-season Longstreet. If Mava isn't at his best, we let Longstreet start and take over the season from there. And say Levy, we're in a good spot. But it's seeming like Longstreet is ahead of schedule, not only as a freshman, but I think in Lincoln Riley's quarterback succession plan, he is ahead of schedule as well. And I'm really, these comments lead me to believe that you're thinking that Longstreet could be the starter day one. Like you said, it's going to be competition. He's going to let the best player play. He's going to let, the best guy win out. But I think Longstreet, as high of a recruit he was, one of the top 5 quarterbacks in this draft class, really did a great job so far. I think that it's good. And I think the other important thing you got to look at is what does Jayden Mava bring to the table? Yes, he started some games. Yes, he has some experience in the system. But what else did he do? He kind of had a blow up at the end of the season. When you look at the loss versus Notre Dame, threw 2 picks in that game. Then you go to the game against Texas A&M, the bowl game as well, threw 3 picks in that game. I just think that this is a guy who at the season, when it was like some of the more important games at the end of the season, he didn't rise to the challenge. He didn't play his best football. in the biggest games for him as well. So I think that's something to take into consideration here. I thought it was really interesting. He seems like a good quarterback. He seems very strong, but that's also something in the back of my mind. I think 5 interceptions in the last 2 games of the season for Mava, that would be weighing on my mind. So I'm glad this is competition. I really like what Longstreet's brought to the table as far as his work ethic and what he's done so far to impress Lincoln Riley. And I want to see more out of Mava. I want to start hearing more good things. But all in all, I think Longstreet is looking really good early on.
Yeah, it's interesting because Mayava, for people that are really in the know, you guys probably already know this, but there's been some criticism from the blogosphere and people in the media about Mayava. Can he be a leader? Can he handle the stress? Can he be the franchise quarterback? And look, I'm not gonna bury the kid. I don't know what he's like in the locker room or not. I think some of these critiques are a little unfair, especially when you're talking about college kids, 18, 19, 20-year-old kids. But I do think the fact that Longstreet is doing well and off to a good start and taking advantage of these opportunities is really important. Because when you're a talented quarterback and you have been just this uber talented quarterback, you've been just the superstar. Like, everyone wants to be your friend. You got all the attention, everyone's talking about you since you were 12, 13, 14 years old. And now to humble yourself and just on your own dime, just attend meetings, go through all this drudgery just to get ready. That's a really good sign because it reminds me a little bit of this is going to go back a little bit, but when Kellen Moore, quarterback, now the head coach of the New Orleans Saints, but he was going to Boise State. And before coming to Boise State, he called the head coach and said, "Hey, listen, can you email me the playbook? I want to know the playbook." This is as a freshman coming in, and the coaches were kind of shocked. It's like we've never had that happen before. He got the playbook, he was ready, and obviously had an all-time great collegiate career. Longstreet isn't quite at that level, but there are some similarities there, and I think having a super talented quarterback to come in with the right mentality, putting in the work ethic, willing to humble yourself, is incredibly important. Now, is he the favorite to win the job? I think right now, I think it's Mava is still is his job to lose. I think if he performs better than what we saw at the end of last season, he still will win it in the early going. Because I think one of the issues that people talk about with freshman quarterbacks, and I think it is just one of those real truisms, is that you look good as a freshman until you get hit in the mouth. Like what happens when the bad plays start happening? And this is one of the reasons why Lincoln Riley, if you go back to his Oklahoma days, went with Spencer Rattler early when he had that Spencer Rattler, Caleb Williams dilemma. He wasn't sure how Caleb Williams would handle throwing 4 interceptions, right? He just didn't know how it would go down. And Caleb Williams obviously could mentally handle it, but he went with Rattler early in the season because he didn't want to put this young freshman in a bad position. When the freshman was ready and he had that confidence, he threw him in there, and the rest is history. Obviously, they ended up coming to Southern California, of course, a few years later. I think we're seeing a similar kind of dynamic here. I don't think there's a real good chance Longstreet starts day one for USC. I just don't think it happens. I think it's going to be Mava, but that does not guarantee that Longstreet doesn't play a lot or become the starter later in the season because we're going to see a similar dynamic potentially. Spencer Rattler, Caleb Williams 2.0 this time in USC. Nothing against Mava. I think that a lot of the critiques against him are a little bit unfair. This is a transfer kid, right? He's figuring things out. It's tough level of college football. Great physical tools. He had a lot of good moments too. You paired with the turnovers as well. But I really think if you're looking at potential, Longstreet certainly is better. He's got the right mental makeup, at least so far. But I just need to see Longstreet overcome and handle some adversity first. Until he does, I think it's Mava's job to lose.
Yeah, and I think you spread some valid points there, Nick. I do think when you're a young guy coming in to a system like this, being a part of a USC team, a team that notably is going to play some big games this year, they're going to be some tough competition on the schedule. I think we do need to see, you're not really 100% sure what these guys are going to be able to do until they get on the field and do it. But I think it's already a good sign that Hassan Longstreet is preparing himself the best he can. Now, unfortunately for him, and I think it's going to change here, we've done a lot of videos on it, so go back and check it if you're curious about the defense. For Longstreet, I think, him going up against USC's defense in practice isn't the top tier defenses of all of college football that he's going to have to face, but I do think it's getting much, much better, and I think they're on a really great trajectory there, so not too much slight at the USC defense, but I think the offense, it's got to be ready to go day one. This is a team early on. The offense is going to have to shine as we talk about. The defense is going to kind of, build, strengthen, and get stronger throughout the years. I think they've done a great job recruiting, building this defense. I think we're going to see a huge improvement this season. But the offense, it's got to be ready to go day one. So as much as I like Longstreet, as much as I personally think that he has a really good chance at winning out the quarterback battle this offseason, I do see some merit saying, hey, we got to be good. We got to be ready to go day one because we're going to have to give our defense some leeway to get things rolling. I think Mava, there is some merit to saying this guy's familiar. He knows the offense. He knows what we're going to run. He's familiar with our players. We can go out there, the level of competition we're going to face. He faced some of the better teams that they're going to face at the end of the season. There's some merit to saying, hey, this guy's going to start early, and then eventually Longstreet might have to, make his appearance midway through the season. However, that was to unfold. There is some merit to there, so I think you bring up some good points here about Mava versus Longstreet. I'm excited to see, nonetheless, how the rest of spring ball goes and what they're doing coming into the season. I think it's going to be really interesting, and it's something I am definitely going to stay tuned for, and we'll keep everybody updated.